Welcome to the Mind for Success podcast. I'm your host, Kimberly Lebbing, and I love seeing business professionals, leaders, and entrepreneurs have massive success in their businesses. Are you ready to reach a higher level in your business? Are you looking to rise to the top and break through the barriers that are holding you back? If this is you, join us on the Mind for Success podcast. Hello, and welcome to the Mind for Success podcast. I am Kim Lebbing, your host, and I am so excited to introduce two guests today. So you're getting a 2-for-1 special. I have, and I'll tell you a little bit about them and how we met in a moment. Paige Rosales and Juliana Ashley with me today. They are both coaches. We are all coaches together. We're in a program together. That's how we met. And think of it as a master's program for coaches. And we are working on a project together and decided to come on this podcast and talk a little bit about the behind the scenes things that goes on with coaching. So did I leave anything out in that description, girls?
I think you nailed it.
Yep. Awesome. Thanks for having us. You are quite welcome. So I want you to introduce and tell us a little bit about you. I'll start with you, Juliana.
Okay, so I'm a coach. I've been coaching for 15 years. I do leadership and executive coaching. I'm also a recovering attorney. I spent about 10 years practicing law, and that was rough for me. They say that the best outcome to any lawsuit is one where everyone walks away equally unhappy. Mm-hmm. And that was just stressful to me because I want people to be happy. I want people to feel good after an interaction that I have with them. So I was always kind of seeking, like, where's a win-win? Where can I, interact with people and their lives are better, and they feel better after our conversations. And I sort of stumbled into coaching. And so I love it. I love the people in it. And yeah, that's where I am today.
That's awesome. And who's your audience? Who are the people you serve?
Yeah. So I mostly coach leaders in both healthcare and energy, but leaders in organizations, basically, and leadership teams. And I think we've talked about this. I teach coaching at a university. It's a very academic setting, and a lot of the coaching I do is with academicians, right? Like doctors and scientists and engineers and leaders. And I love this program because this is helping me understand more about, the heart and soul of coaching. And so I feel like this is helping me bring that to that space of corporate academic, coaching. And hopefully, my goal is that I can help raise the vibration of that audience. I don't know if they want that to happen, so I got to see if that's what they want, but that's what I want. And so, I'll fold that in as needed.
Yeah, I love it. And I think they don't know that they want it, but they want it.
That's right.
That's my guess.
Yeah, they probably don't use that language, but they definitely, want something that's like that, aligned with that.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for being on today. And now, Paige, tell us about you.
Well, let's see. I am recently retired from a 35 plus year career in early childhood education and nonprofit work. So I've worked with primarily people in the field of education and human development. Part of that was done in the United States, in Houston, Texas, and then part of it was done overseas with the US government. So I'm in that work. It seems like a far cry from coaching, but really a lot of what I've done is worked with teachers and with parents, with adults who want more or better for themselves or their families. And so what I've in my next chapter, which I'm really excited about, I'm shifting a little bit to make my coaching really focused on people who themselves are ready for that next exciting step. And I very often say about children and others that every time a new human being shows up, that a new hope is born for the world. And I really believe this. I believe that every one of us has at least one thing, like the thing that we are sent here to do. And very often it's the thing that's going to require us to take a big breath and step forward. And I am here to help folks who are ready to do that in big and small ways. I'll talk a little bit about that later, but to take that step. And I want to be there to witness that and to give them the supports that they need to take that step.
I love it. I love it. And you can see and you can hear, if you're listening, if you're watching, you can see the passion in both of them, and that they're both beautiful and amazing coaches. And a little bit about me. I know this is my show, but if you're listening for the first time, I will tell you a little bit about me. I work with business owners, entrepreneurs, professionals that are in sales environments. And I help them get past the things that are holding them back, those things that maybe have kept them feeling stuck, or they haven't been able to get to the level that they want to get to. And I help them remove those obstacles, or to shift them is a better way to say it, shift those things that are in the way, so that they can move forward and do all the things that they were created to be, all the things that they were put on this planet to be. So that's me. And I want to go ahead and give you a little bit of a background about what our purpose for being here today. I told you we were going to be sharing a little bit about the behind the scenes in coaching, the things that we don't say. So, and I want you ladies, if you hear, or if you want to say something about this part of it, please jump in. But what I wanted to say is there's so many times where people don't know what we're doing. They think, oh, they're just a coach, they're there for accountability, or they're there for this and they're there for that. And they think it's just this thing that's, we're maybe reading from or going from a script or something like that. And there are so many other pieces to it that are intuitive, or what some of us may call it magical, or intuition, or pieces that we do with clients that people don't know, that people don't see. And that's what we want to demonstrate, because all three of us, we come from very different backgrounds, and all three of us have very different ways of doing things. And they're all very intuitive and, like I said, magical. And so we want to demonstrate that behind the scenes for you today. So did I leave anything out?
I would just add that I think a lot of people come in and expect a coach to maybe tell them what to do, or expect that it's going to be like an athletic type of coach, right? They're going to come and say, oh, you're doing this wrong and you need to do this differently. And I think there's a lot of misconceptions about, like, what does a coach really do, or how are they going to help me? And do I really even need one? And I think once people get into it, they're like, oh, wow, this is very different than what I expected. And I think it's even more powerful than they expected to sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And Paige, I'll just ask, do you want to add anything to that?
Nope, that sounds pretty good to me. I'm excited to share my take on it, and I'm really excited to hear about what the two of you have to say about it. So
awesome. Yes. Awesome. Okay, so Juliana, we were going to start with you.
Yeah, and actually, I thought maybe I would just demo coaching a little bit and maybe have a little bit of a coaching conversation with one of you, whichever one. We haven't planned in advance who's going to be coached. So whoever's willing, maybe we can have a little short conversation to show people what, one type of coaching, right? This would be my style of coaching, and what it might be like if you're in a coaching session. So do either of you have something that's like a challenge or something that's top of mind that you're thinking about that you feel like getting some coaching on would be helpful?
My question is, are you getting a hit? Who do you think it is? Who do you think it is, Juliana?
Yeah, what's your intuition?
Really?
No, if you don't have a feel, I'm willing to be coached, and I'm also really happy to witness Kim being coached. But I was just curious if you had a hit.
I did probably think it was going to be you, Paige. Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Okay.
So there's an example of the intuition, that inner knowing.
And Paige, so what's, I know, actually, I do know somewhat of what's top of mind for you, because I know you just had a huge international flight that you're coming off of, but I'd love to hear, like, what else is feeling important for you right now?
Well, that's a really good question. So, I really just did a big release of a career that I loved and a life that I loved and still do. And I've moved myself to the United States with my two little dogs. And really I've stepped from one big life into another big life. So I'm formally launching. I've been doing some coaching on this side, but I'm formally launching this big coaching thing. So the thing that's top of mind for me right now that feels really juicy and it's very alive is that I'm doing a retreat in May for the Memorial Day weekend for teachers who are within 1 to 3 years of looking at teachers overseas in our organization who are looking at retiring, because as my brother said, moving is one thing, moving from overseas is another thing, getting out of a big organization is another thing. And, and it all comes at once when you step out of what we've been doing. So I'm doing a retreat. And so what's top of mind for me is building for this retreat, is doing the outreach and advertising and communicating clearly so that people understand and then can choose whether it's for them or not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So big undertakings. You got this retreat and you've got a lot going on to get ready for it. What is it you'd like to get out of our conversation? Let's say we talk for 10, 15 minutes. What would be helpful to take away?
That's a good question. I think what came up for me as I was talking is to decide whether I want to keep it kind of small and local and do kind of a beta, or whether I would like to take it a little bit larger. I'm going to do it in the community, near the community that I just left. But the truth is there are a number of schools in Europe that I could potentially invite in. And that's what came up. And I hadn't even thought of that until we were talking. So clearly that's something we should talk about, because that's what came up.
Okay. And so am I hearing that you'd like to maybe make a decision or bounce ideas around about whether it should be maybe kept smaller or larger?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Okay.
That gives me anxiety. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, what's the anxiety?
Opening it up for friends and colleagues, people I know who I was, having coffee with 5 days ago, feels one way. It feels safe. And maybe it feels a little small. And I just talked about stepping into this big life.
Mm.
And so maybe the time is right to open it up to a couple of other groups of colleagues. And of course, but then if I do that, there's the whole thing of these people know me and love me, and these people would just be coming for the thing. And the being able to deliver, I think, is the scary part there.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm curious because you said, I could ask my friends that are over here that feel safe, and it also feels small.
Mm-hmm.
But you've been talking about a big life. So what do small and big represent for you?
So, okay, folks out there in podcast land, we're getting real. So there's something about playing it small that's pleasing, that doesn't show things up. And what really is coming up is that I'm not being bigger than others, but I'm not really bigger than others, bigger than my parents. That's what's coming up. Is let me stay safe enough here so that I still stay happily connected to everyone. And the truth is that doesn't have anything to do with the people in my life now. It very much has to do with parents and maybe some partners. Yeah. And being big, playing big, being full, I would say, is taking up a lot of space and taking a risk and being bold. And there are a lot of other, and this is helpful because there's no one in my life now who I have to play small for. There's no one in my life now whom I have to play small for.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's that bringing up for you?
So, the Marianne Williamson quote, who are you to be brilliant but who are you not to be? That being in our own brilliance is what it gives everyone else permission to be brilliant as well. That our brilliance, that our ability to shine our full light lights the way for others, gives other people permission. If they can look at me and say, oh, she did that, I can do that too. That's what's coming up. It's heady stuff. Like, it's a little breathless. That's what it's bringing up. It's a little heady. It's a little breathless. It's a little scary, but in a good way. And that sort of, you're gonna jump into that river.
Yeah.
You just have to get the courage and watch a couple. This is my story, and watch a couple people go too. And then I can do it. It feels a little bit like that.
Yeah. So tell me if I'm wrong here, but does big equate to brilliance for you?
The potential for brilliance, for sure. Yeah. It's really small, is like dimming my shine. That's what's coming up. Small is dimming my shine. I don't want to shine too brightly. I don't want to be bigger, I don't want to get I don't want to be too big for my britches. I don't want to, I want to get off my high horse. Like, these are phrases that are coming up that the message is just don't be better than anybody else. And of course I'm not. I'm just me. I'm just as better as me. And that's all. And I want everybody, I mean, the truth is I want everybody to be, and this is actually a huge part of my coaching, huge. Like I see people in their brilliance. When people have mud and they've built like houses around their brilliance and bricks and you know, they have a little light over here to take the vision away from who they are.
Mm-hmm.
A big part of my coaching is I just see how brilliant people are. I just see it.
Got it.
I want it. I know that that there's enough everything to go around. Playing small doesn't serve anyone. And small means damping my shine. That's what yeah.
You said, I see people's brilliance, even when they've covered it up with mud and everything else. What do you see as your brilliance?
Well, it's that I see people. I see people with love. I see people with compassion. I can I tap into I'm an expansion magician, and part of what that means is that when somebody says, I have this little idea, what do you think? I go, oh my gosh, I see you, I love you, and this idea, I see it. Like I see it full blown. I see its effect on the world. And so that's those two things are really important to how I can show up in the world. And I bring people together.
Nice. A connector.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to check in and just say, we've talked for a few minutes and you've talked about small versus big and your brilliance. Where are you now with what you wanted to get out of this session?
Great laser coaching session. Incredible, Juliana. I came in with an idea that was just like kind of back here. Maybe I'll open this up. I didn't even know it was an idea until we sat down and talked to each other. And now I'm going to figure out a way to get this out to at least twice the number of people I was going to invite. I don't have a number in my head, but like this school and this school, it will be easy for both of these people to come together to do this thing. And it might get bigger than that, and that would be okay. And I'm not attached to that, but I am I see the importance of getting out there.
Okay. I'm curious, what did you learn or take away about yourself?
That just because this is a new business does not mean that I am a newbie. And I don't have to start way back here and take little tiny baby steps to do this. I'm ready to be all in. I had one big ass life, and I'm stepping into another big ass life, and I don't have to second guess that.
Oh, I love it.
Me too. I'm writing it down.
Yeah. Awesome.
This was so well done.
Does this feel like a good place to stop for you, Paige?
It really does. Yeah. Juliana, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
One of the things, so that was so great. And one of the reasons, just side note, that I love group coaching is this. So you talking her through this, for me, I was like, okay. I mean, you literally think about where that's showing up for you. So it's interesting. It's just interesting. So there's a lot of value in the group, I'm finding. So I love that.
Yeah. I used to be love coaching it with a group, because I feel the same way. I feel like when you're watching someone getting coached, it's also kind of a fun place because you're not in the spotlight to take a lot of it in and go, ooh, what do I think about that? Or how would I answer that? But I've always been hesitant to do it because I'm like, oh, well, then not everybody gets coaching. But I've learned that sometimes it's better. And sometimes you can get more, or maybe not more, but you can get a lot just from watching or being in the presence of someone being coached right there in the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. So do you have anything, Juliana, that you want to add or say about what you just did? It was beautiful.
I will say that, I mean, I guess we can kind of debrief it, right? Like,
sure.
What did I do there that's different than just maybe a conversation with a friend, right? Like, I think one thing that's always important when I'm coaching is to get a destination from the client, right? So like because we can talk about what's top of mind, but really it's, for me and my coaching, it's always important that you, Paige, like the client chooses where they want to go. So I'm not saying, oh, you should do this with your retreat, or how about we talk about this, right? Like making sure that the client chooses where they want to go, I think is really important in coaching. And sometimes that's hard to do because we think like we want to give a suggestion or an idea. And I guess the other thing is just, I feel like I didn't do much, I think a lot of coaching is just being really present and listening and reflecting back what you're hearing. And I think sometimes if, especially when people are learning how to coach, they want to do a lot. And honestly, I think sometimes it's just more powerful to just be really present with what the other person's saying. So yeah, I didn't feel like I did very much. I was just like, this is awesome. Paige is coaching herself, right?
Okay.
That's really what you want. I mean, ideally, you want clients to see it for themselves. But it was very beautifully done. We clearly saw your magic or your, intuition at work. So it was absolutely brilliant. And we got to see a little taste of Paige, which I thought was so, like, we couldn't have made that up. Like, we couldn't have even planned for that, but we got to see a little bit of Paige's brilliance as well through all this because you asked those questions. So in that, I'll go ahead and move to Paige. And you can talk about a little bit more. You gave us a little bit of hint, but talk a little bit more about that.
Sure. First of all, I do want to kind of wrap up the debrief from my perspective, because one of the things I think you did, Juliana, that is different perhaps than some, I think, was it you that mentioned earlier on that some folks think about coaching as just like an accountability partner with with a little bit of authority. Like I hire somebody so that I have accountability, and I give you permission I pay you to give you permission to tell me that I should be here by now, or whatever. We're talking about a very different type of coaching. And one of the things that you did that I think beautifully was a beautiful example of that is that you got a download. Something came to you, and I don't remember what you said, but you said you checked in with me and you said, so, tell me if this seems right to you or not. And then you shared that. And it was definitely, that's part of the intuition that Kim is talking about, I think, that gave me the opportunity to absorb it and to see if it fit. And if not, to shift it, but it moved us along in more of an energetic way, I think, than perhaps some other coaching experiences or styles. So that was your brilliance shining through, which I thought was really helpful. So I want to thank you. So I think what's interesting to me is that as we are talking, we may coach very different people or different types of people and toward very different ends, but with similar juice, maybe not styles, but similar juice. As I talked about some of my brilliance, the magic that I bring to coaching. I really enjoy working with people who seem very disparate. So I'll talk to you about some of my folks. People often come to me with what they see as a small idea. I just love this. So I want to be an author, and I've written this little book, or I'm doing this work, but I want to be a barber. I want to cut hair, and I'm just going to drill into these in a minute. Or the way that I thought I was going to parent isn't the way it's turning out, and I want to readjust. And those in and of themselves seem like really pedestrian things on the one hand. But as I said earlier, I am able to see the magic inside of a person, the brilliance inside of the person, the beauty inside of the person that this is coming from. And of course, they're speaking quietly because they're afraid to let this little thing that they were meant to do, that's going to change the world, come out, because it can be a scary thing. And so one of my job titles I've given myself is to be a dream seer. Like, I see people's dreams. And so one of my clients came to me with this little story, and in the capacity of a content editor, but really the person who helps to hold this dream, this person has quit a job they don't love and is being wildly successful as a self-published author in the very nascent stages, but it is growing. It is growing, and it is growing, and it's exciting to watch. And this person has gone from living a life that was outwardly kind of fabulous to living a life that feels juiced, that feels energetic, that feels amazing every day. And that is so exciting to me. My barber person, this person is a trans man and grew up in a household that did not honor any of who he is. And he has a great life. He's made a wonderful life for himself. And when he talks about being a barber, it's not just that he wants to cut hair. He also does other stuff, other like esthetician stuff, nails and beauty styling. Really what this is about is he wants to hold space for other people who might be on the margins, other queer folk, or to give them the opportunity to be seen, to be who they are, and to have support and to fully step out into that. So I hope that the way I'm describing this gives voice to the fact that when folks come to me with their small idea, and isn't it funny that what I'm working on is what I'm working on with my client? Isn't that amazing? I love it how that happens. That really people, every one of us has that thing inside that needs to come forward. So as you said, Juliana, we raise the vibration, that the world just becomes a more and more vibrant, beautiful, loving, compassionate place. That's what I do.
Love that.
Beautiful. And even as you were talking, I mean, it's just so easy to hear the stories and then kind of relate. And in my opinion, we all need coaches. Coaches need coach, like everyone needs, because we're all moving as these vibrational levels, or whatever you want to call it. There's different names for that, but coming from a place where you feel good in here versus that scarcity mindset, or that fear mindset, or victim mindset, whatever that is, it's bringing that up, bringing the vibration of that up. So I was trying to do a little bit of language translation there in that, but because not everybody uses that language. And I understand that, but coming from that good place of love and acceptance in everything that you're doing, and acceptance for you. But anyway, as you were talking, I just felt like, I mean, it was good to hear.
I love that you said that. And I agree, everyone needs a coach, because the other thing about a coach that's different than talking to your best friend, because best friends can hold energy for you and be your cheerleader. And certainly coaches do that. But coaches also ask uncomfortable questions. Like, Juliana, you didn't ask mean questions. You weren't challenging me in an aggressive way, but you were able to ask the question that took the thing that I wasn't looking at and helped me look at it. And that changed everything. And I think that, Kim, I like the way that you said translating this for people. Yes, we can use lots of words to talk about this, but it's helping people to find that vision and to change what we bring to it, whether we call that energy or focus or.
Yeah, there's all kinds of names, but it puts you in a better place is the bottom line.
You've held good space for us. Are you going to tell us about your magic?
Tell us about you now, Kim.
Ready?
Yes.
You're up.
So I can relate to both of you, because I feel like this, a lot of the things that we do as coaches is very related. And so one of the ways, and I actually had this realization today, I have two main things that I do. One of them I wasn't even really aware of until really recently. And I was actually reflecting on this today on how often I use it, and I don't even realize that I'm using it. And I'm very good at recognizing when someone comes to me and they feel, everybody that comes to me is wanting to get to a different place. They're stuck, like I said, and I use that language and they use that language, that they're stuck in some way. They want something better. And I'm very good at picking up language patterns and even reading their body language, their face. And what I haven't really owned yet is that I also pick up on, like, there's an energy or something that they put out. And sometimes I just know, like, I get it, it's almost like this inner knowing thing of this connects to this, to this. And my job is to ask the questions similar to Juliana. You did such a beautiful job of that, but asking those questions that they can see and connect the dots as well. And that's probably my biggest thing. But the part of it that I've been doing all along, but just really didn't recognize, is that I also get a feeling. Like, I see the things, but there's a feeling or something that comes along with it. And it feels like it comes out of nowhere. And I know, Juliana, you did a great job of demonstrating this, because I will do similar with, it feels like, I'll say something like, it feels like it might be this. Does that feel right for you? And I will ask them to confirm. And a lot of times it is. And if it isn't, they'll say, oh, no, it wasn't that. But a lot of times it is. And I usually know. It's like, when I know, I know. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that makes sense, but
definitely. Yeah.
It does. And then I'm able to shift people through that. And, I've got a process for doing that whole shifting part, but it's really about helping people see it from a different perspective, and then leaving the thing, whatever that was back there, and moving forward. Taking the stuff from that thing back there that was hanging you up, and seeing the gifts out of it, taking and helping. So that's part of it too, is showing people the gifts. It comes from them. So whatever they learn, whatever they see from whatever that thing was, it comes from them, but I'm able to guide them and pull it out of them, so to speak, so that they can take it with them.
That's fabulous. That reminds me of something I read today that was like, what's a formula for coaching? Like, how does coaching work? And one of them was outcome equals potential minus interference. Like, as a coach, we remove the interference so that they can reach their potential. That's part of what I was hearing you say when you were talking about that, right? Like getting rid of that stuff so they can really just move into their, because we all have that brilliance and that special thing that we can do. We get a lot of interference.
We do. And that's so you hit a hot point with me. I'll just give you a little bit of my why behind this, because I've been doing this for, years. And I've been in coaching programs where they didn't help me with the interference part until the end. And it didn't have to be that way. So my belief is to give that to people up front. Let's get to that core stuff right away, because then you're more effective in everything else that because if the example of you, Juliana, coaching Paige. So if Paige would have just went out and did this group without even thinking about the things that were brought to light so beautifully, she would have been maybe not, but she would have probably figured out another way around that. But because I know she's in some good programs too, but she may not have seen that. And then it would have stayed maybe in a small place. Mm-hmm. So people are able to play bigger, faster when you work on these things up front.
Kim, I love the way that I love that we're talking about this. I agree that doing that up front it's the thing that gives, in my opinion, it's the thing that gives our clients their power. Mm. Then they make that transition, they make that transformation. And then our coaching client relationship becomes integrating and living in this new way. So for example, whether or not I would have had this conversation with someone else, we'll never know. But what I do know is that now I have to bring this intention of new energy into the work that I do, because it's real easy to just go back and because now I have to figure new things out, and I already knew what I was doing. This is safe. Now I have this other thing to look at. I also know where that stuff came from, and so I can have compassion for it. I like how you said that it came from them. There were gifts to playing small. There were gifts to the things that are holding us back. They kept us safe generally. Those things kept us safe. And as you said, we can leave them behind. Now we can thank them and leave them behind. And we don't have to, I don't have to be ashamed for wanting to have played small. Our clients don't have to be ashamed, but we don't have to be that stuff anymore. We can shine. Yeah, I think
we can weed them out like the old clothes in our closet.
There you go.
Absolutely.
Thank you for your service. I'm done.
Oh, beautifully put.
Look better.
I love it. All right. Well, we're going to wrap up. I'm so excited. This was just such a blessing to have you both on here. I think this was just fabulous. So we're going to have both of their bios and how to connect with them in the show notes. So that if you want to do that, you can. You already know where to find me. And I just want to thank you both for being on today. This was fabulous.
Thhank you, Kim, so much for hosting us. And thank you, Paige, for showing up and being willing to be coached. That's a big deal, too. I'm glad it wasn't me.
Oh, absolutely.
For this platform. And Juliana, just thank you so much. It was such a gift. Your coaching was such a gift.
Oh, y'all are wonderful.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, ladies.
Are you ready to break through the barriers that are holding you back and reach a higher level in your business in just 4 hours? Be sure to click the link today and join other high-achieving professionals that have worked with Kimberly Lebbing to accelerate their success.